Hi there, everybody. Come on in. We'd like to invite you into the Kumo Theater. Our next speaker is taking the stage, bringing you lots of good information today. SparkPost and Zillow. We're going to be talking about, see, I like that. Yes, enthusiasm. You people came to party, didn't you?
We did. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
I like that. Without further ado, please welcome to the stage Justin Ferris and Tara Clark. Big cheer.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Let's click ahead. Thank you. My name is Tara Clark. I'm the director of email for Zillow. A little bit about what that means. One part of my job is running a content marketing team. We do B2B and B2C email. Another part of my job is working closely with the teams Justin manages on the engineering side. And then another part of my job is business owner of email, which means a little bit of everything, making sure everything that Zillow is sending out the door meets best practices, requirements of law, all of that. Justin is one of my closest partners at Zillow.
Yeah, hi, Justin. I manage our growth engineering teams at Zillow, so a bunch of engineers who build and maintain systems that help us grow users, grow traffic, and get our users to engage more with the site.
So story we wanted to tell today, I guess, is a little bit our journey to the cloud, how our partner SparkPost helped us along that path. So to do that, I'd like to take us back to 2012, roughly. Anonymized, but this is sort of where we found ourselves in 2012. As awareness of Zillow grew, so did our user count, and our emails going out the door grew as well. So we found ourselves with a great problem, which is that our email send volume began to scale massively. And as I mentioned, part of my job is sort of management of all of that, making sure that it's going out the door efficiently, at the right cost, and safely, and landing in the right places. So we found ourselves, we were using at the time, they who shall not be named provider, what I think of as a more legacy email service provider. And as we say, with great volume comes great responsibility. So what we ran into were a set of challenges. Each of these comes with sort of a story. Cost is easy. We were getting to the point where our volume was scaling and our cost was scaling at an outsized curve in terms of like what we had to pay to just send emails out the door using this provider. Infrastructure was a challenge for us. It kept being referred to as a black box, essentially. I had engineers in the building saying, what's happening to our messages? We send them out the door, and then we can't see what happens to them after that. We didn't have good visibility into where they were getting stuck, where they might be getting dropped, what was in front of them in a sort of a shared pipe architecture. Innovation became a challenge for us with this partner, where Zillow, being an engineering culture, is solving complex problems all the time with elegant solutions. And we just didn't find that same speed of innovation with the partner that we were consequently paying a lot of money to. So we would encourage them to be creative about solutions and just not be able to, they couldn't really meet us halfway in terms of these elegantly designed solutions. And then culture, which I think speaks to the speed of innovation. Culture was an issue for us too, where we really were looking for a technology-minded partner to solve these challenges for us, rather than, I'm on the marketing team at Zillow, so often what people will say is like, oh, you don't have to worry about that, just pay us the money and we'll solve that for you. Where the culture of our company is one that is sort of a kick the tires culture. We want to pop the hood and twist some knobs and pull some levers and see what happens. And so we were at this point where things were scaling. We really were dealing with challenges. And then I will say there was a well-timed offer by a very good salesperson at the time. If you remember, this was actually before iPads were like given to you upon birth. And this was a time where this person said to me, you meet with me for 20 minutes and hear about this company I work for. I will give you an iPad. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. Hence, our journey to the road to where we are today.
Great. So I wanted to take a second and share with you where we came from an email infrastructure standpoint on our side internally, and SparkPost, who's cloud first, how we were able to grow with SparkPost and actually learn from them in a lot of ways to best deploy our services and applications on AWS. So thinking back to 2013, Zillow was literally in the parking lot of a Walmart. So that is a data center in Linwood, Washington, and that was where most of Zillow was run off of. And so we had monolithic applications, we had a legacy ESP, as Tara mentioned. Our databases were on premises and they were massive, and we were very reactive. So when an email job would fail to run, say in the middle of the night, we'd have to wake up in the morning with our hair on fire to figure out what went wrong. And when you're shopping for a home, turns out it's really important, especially in a market like, say, San Francisco or Las Vegas or Seattle, where you need to react quickly and make an offer in order to get that house. If you don't get the email about a new listing, you're not going to be a happy customer. So our customers, our users, weren't happy with us, and we needed to find a better solution. So today, I'm happy to announce, we're on a microservice architecture. We have a modern cloud-based ESP in SparkPost. We've achieved all of this through AWS, and now we're very proactive. So we can move faster than what our users expect us to move and really make incredibly innovative things. So to take a snapshot into our architecture, this is a big view of it, but in short, everything is driven through queues and through microservices instead of a single giant monolithic application that is responsible for generating content, hitting APIs to get data, enqueuing that message, rendering that message, and eventually sending it off to the user. So this is incredibly leap forward for us, and it improved our reliability in our infrastructure in a big way. So let's take a view into that a little bit and talk about content generation and triggering. So you're going to have a trigger that you want to generate a message, right? To start a job that goes and gets a bunch of data to send an email. And that trigger can come from multiple sources. Well, when we first took a swing at this, we thought, well, we'll just jam all of that together in a single application because, we build monoliths. Let's just build a slightly smaller monolith. And just run that on EC2 instance without thinking about auto-scaling or security and identity management or any of the other great features that the cloud has to offer on AWS. We just sort of said, well, that's a host, that's a box, it runs, it has a CPU and RAM and a disk. Let's just run this giant thing on it. And certainly that worked, but we had scale issues. We had issues when a developer on my team would ship a bug and we'd have to roll back. We'd have to roll back that entire application, which means a feature change that improved an email on a different system had to get rolled back, even though it had nothing to do with the problem that occurred. So we took a second swing, and now we have this, which is a microservice version of basically that, where you have various data sources that can be outside, they can be off of AWS if we want to. It can be from a client, it can be from anything, and then hitting a trigger service or a cron service basically that enqueues through SQS a message. And that message doesn't have any data into it yet, but it knows, hey, I need to send this email to this user. Then we have a content generation cluster that is in an auto-scaling group. And that can scale massively depending on how much volume we need to send. So that weekend shopper email that we have might need to send something like 50 million emails by the end of the day. Well, it can scale up gracefully to handle that load and then scale back down once we don't need all that capacity. That content generator is going out to other services to grab data, checking with the subscription service that it's allowed to send that mail, and then passing it along the chain. The other interesting innovation we built with this is what we're calling the governor, or govna. And the governor is really important when you're managing a large email infrastructure because you're going to be sending millions of emails to millions of users, and you want to know that you're giving the right user the right message at the right time. And you want to make sure your list is clean, because if your list bloats over Zillow's 10-year history, a user who subscribed 10 years ago might not want the same property notifications for a home they lived in 10 years ago. They've probably moved, or they're going to move, or something like that. And so the governor's job is to basically sit and monitor all of those things that are happening in the system. Look at send volume per user, look at deliverability, look at all these different things, and then make decisions on the behalf of the user that's right for the user. So it'll drop emails if we don't think it's the right time to send. It'll enqueue a message to be sent at 5 p.m. because we know that's when you get off work and get on the train to check your email. So it does all of these great things and then enqueues it into the last step, which is off to SparkPost. So we render our emails internally. SparkPost has the ability to render them for you as well and manage templates for you, but we choose to render them internally, process that mail, and then queue it to SparkPost, and it lands to our happy users. So thank you very much for your time today. If you have questions, Tara and I are happy to hang out after and go into detail and follow up offline as well.